Hey guys, how's it going? I hope you're having a great week. This is election week. The election week of 2020. The whole country is experiencing some stress right now. And you know, it doesn't matter what your political affiliation is. It doesn't matter how involved in this process you are. I'm certain that we all are experiencing a mild form of stress right now. So I thought today I would do something simple and easy and hopefully help you to get your mind off of all of this. So while Lily and I get set up, you sit still. We'll be right back. Also, I got a new coffee mug. This mug came from a really good friend and a subscriber to this channel. So a big shout out to Mindy. Thank you very much. The coffee is delicious and I love the cup. Okay, so I'm all set up here, and today I'm going to show you how to remove the seeds from your pumpkin, but more importantly, how to properly store those seeds so that you can plant them next year. So I have already chose a pumpkin. Now, everyone knows how to cut open a pumpkin and remove the inside of it. That goes without saying, but how we treat the seeds is fairly important. You want to be able to store those seeds so that they remain viable through the winter, and then we can put them in the ground around May or the 1st of June. So we're going to show you how to do that today. Now, the only tools that we need for this project, the only tools that I'm using is a colander and a good sharp knife. Now, we're not carving the pumpkin. It doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, we use our pumpkins to feed the animals. Nothing on this homestead gets wasted. So every year around this time, as we pull out some of the seeds to store for next year, we take the pumpkins, the rind, everything, and we feed this to the goats, chickens, the pig, the ducks, even our dog. They love the taste of pumpkin, and it's good for them. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this pumpkin in half. Step 2 of this process is probably my favorite part of the whole process. I remember as a child carving pumpkins, and there were two things that I loved so much. The smell from the pumpkin once it's cut open, and then the feeling of the squishy and soft feeling from the insides. I had so much fun with that growing up. I still do. So basically what I'm going to do is just clean this out. Now, something to keep in mind during this process is you want to know or determine how many plants you want to have in the spring. So I plan on planting about 10 pumpkin seeds. I want 10 plants. So a good rule of thumb is if you want 10 plants, you need to have about 30 seeds just to make sure that you have plenty. There's no way that you will use all of these seeds unless you are specifically planting pumpkins for a patch or something larger. But I don't do that here. We just plant enough pumpkins to have around in the fall for decoration and to also feed the animals. So I'm going to look through these seeds and choose the biggest and healthiest seeds. They're going to have goop on them, and we'll take care of that next. But I'm going to pick out about around 30 of the best looking seeds from this pumpkin and just put them over into the colander. All of these seeds look really good, very healthy. So you're probably asking yourself why it is necessary to have a video about pumpkin seeds. Couldn't you just store them in something and plant them next year? Well, I guess that's a possibility. The problem is, if I just stored these seeds as they were, even if I tried to remove the inner part and just store them like this, they're wet. They're slimy. They stick together. And so what's going to happen is they're going to mold. And chances are they're not going to be very viable come springtime. So the plan is, now that I've picked out my seeds, I'm going to take them and I'm going to rinse these seeds really well and make sure that I get all of the inside of the pumpkin removed from these seeds. Then I'm going to place these on a paper towel, make sure that the seeds aren't stacked, that they are laying separately from one another, and I'm going to let them dry for about a week. Once they're dry, then they can just go into a regular paper envelope and you will be able to store them over the winter. A lot of people will suggest that you even, once you put them into an envelope, that you put them into a plastic container and put them in the back of the refrigerator, and that will store them very well, and that probably works just fine. Normally what I do is I put them into a paper envelope, label them, and then I put them in my pantry or washroom, just in a dark area, and I just let them lay there throughout the winter. For me, I bring them back into the greenhouse around the 1st of April, and I plant them in pots so that they will go ahead and take root. Then around the 1st of May, I will go ahead and transplant them out into the yard. So let's talk a little bit more about feeding pumpkin to your animals. The reason we feed this to all of our animals here is, number one, they love it. They love the taste. They will eat the entire pumpkin, including the seeds, the rind, and everything inside. But something more is that the pumpkin is good for them. It acts as a supplement. A lot of people say that pumpkin, specifically the seeds, are a natural dewormer. Now, I have saw that a lot of people go back and forth on this. Not everyone believes that. I happen to believe it because I have given this to my animals for years, and I just think that it works very well. I wouldn't use this as a primary source to get rid of worms, but as a supplement, yes, I think that it works very well. And what happens is the actual seed in the pumpkin acts as the dewormer. And so what happens is this seed will target specifically tapeworms and other intestinal parasites. It acts as a paralytic, so it paralyzes the worm. If the worm is paralyzed, it is unable to feed or to get its nutrients, so it dies. Now, you will notice, specifically with chickens and goats, or no, I'm sorry, not goats, chickens and pigs, you will notice at times that once they start eating the pumpkin, their bowel movements will be a little looser. That's not always the case. Usually the first pumpkin of the year, I will notice a softer stool. But after that, everything is pretty normal. They love how it tastes. They will gobble it up as quick as I give it to them. So just some food for thought. You can do your own research and come to your own conclusions. I feel very good about it, and I would definitely recommend it to any of your animals. I even feed it to our dogs, and they just gobble it up. They love it. So the next part of this process is to wash the seeds. And what we want to do is just to wash off all of the slimy insides of the pumpkin to make sure that the seeds are nice and clean so that they can dry. So now we begin the process of laying the seeds out, being very careful to make sure that they are separated, that they're not laying on one another. You don't want any possibility of them holding any kind of moisture in, because they will begin to mold if you do that. So they need to be separated, and like I said earlier, you're going to give these seeds about a week to dry before storing them for the winter. Okay guys, so this is the final product. The seeds are clean and separated. They are laid out, and they will lay like this for 1 week while they dry. And if you notice, I did get probably way more than 30 seeds. But the good thing about this is, if you properly clean these seeds, dry them, and store them, you don't have to use them all in one season. Pumpkin seeds are good for about 4 to 5 years. So I can use these for years to come. So I hope this has helped you a little bit. Maybe you have wanted to plant pumpkins in the past and are thinking about it for this year. But at any rate, hopefully it has put your mind in another place instead of around the chaos of the world right now. We appreciate you so much for being here. As always, we would certainly appreciate it if you would like and share this video. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button down below. And we will see you next week. Bye-bye.